So no agenda. Over to you guys. Let me know if you've got any questions, as well as questions, by the way, any thoughts, comments, areas for improvement that you have for us, anything you were struggling with, etc., etc. So over to you guys. All that I would ask is at the bottom of the screen, whether you are on mobile or on desktop, there is a little hand icon. If you hit that hand icon, I'll demonstrate. You hit that hand icon like this, it raises your hand and you will jump to the start of the queue. So just to keep it polite, raise your hands if you've got questions. And if you have none, I'll just ad lib.
Hey everyone. Hey Mike.
Hey guys. All right. I've got two hands raised. I've got Nicola first. You're on mute, buddy. You're still on mute.
Okay, now?
Yes, perfect.
All right, awesome. So my question is about the value proposition. And so what you've been saying is, all the, especially like the ideal customer and the value we bring has to be very, very specific. So I'm just wondering, the value proposition as we wrote it, is that more for kind of the customer or for possible investor, or is that for us to kind of know what we want to do? My question is the same value proposition for all of those cases, or we kind of tweak it slightly based on who are we talking to?
Yeah, really, really good question. So the purpose of the value proposition is multifold. The main purpose is firstly to provide a common thread throughout the entirety of the Catapult course and actually beyond. So it's there more as a kind of measure, a benchmark for how your business has developed over the course of the program. The format specifically has been designed by us to be adaptable for, as you rightly said. So for investors, you would take essentially the first half. That will be your tagline. For customers, you could take different elements of it and highlight them and test different bits of it on your landing page, as an example, if you were using a landing page for your marketing tests or validation tests. But really, the purpose of it is to force you as a founder to really, really narrow down and to be able to explain concisely and precisely what you do, for whom, and how it helps them achieve what they want to achieve. That's it. So really, it's a tool for you guys as individuals, but by forcing you, and again, so Steve and I went through another accelerator for something completely different, but for VC fundraising, essentially. And they had, I forget exactly what they called it, but the equivalent, but for VC fund managers. And it was incredible how few people were able to concisely, in 35 words or less, which we will be forcing you to get down to over the course of the program, which is definitely easier said than done, but how few people were actually able to get there. And those who were able to get there actually outperformed by many, many magnitudes. So really, it's a tool for you, but also it helps us as well, right? Does that answer your question? And it is supremely adaptable, by the way. So yeah, you'll be able to use different elements of it for all of those use cases that you outlined and more. Has anyone not yet started? Module 1? I could just see you chuckling to yourself. And
Well, I haven't progressed much, but I've got a few pointers when it comes to final UI and motivation. So we've got that down. But yes, I haven't reached the value proposition level yet. So it's quite, useful to hear from all of you what you've been doing and how you've been progressing with that.
Awesome. And guys, I would just add, don't feel that it's only us, like me and Steve, who can comment on your respective value propositions. You guys, as you get to know each other, particularly post week 3, when we'll put you into your accountability groups, you will be the ones who are feeding back on each other's value propositions and other kind of working pieces and assignments. We've got our opinions. We've seen hundreds of them, right? So yeah, it's easier for us, but don't feel that you've got to be silent. No, actually be proactive and do start commenting on others.
Absolutely. Honestly, I thought about cheating up someone else's value proposition just to see how it's structured, but it'd be nice to hear someone else's to understand where's it coming from.
You will see all of them. So if you go onto that specific section on Module 1, you can see all the past ones as well. And past
Oh, very nice.
So you can take a look. Now, remember, those are the first ones. By the time you get to the end, they've changed immeasurably. So I'm not saying you should copy them as even if but at least if you, and remember, we always say better done than perfect. I'd rather you do something and it's absolutely awful, right? I forget who it was, but yes, someone had put one up today and it just didn't follow the format at all. But that's fine, right? At least they've done something, and from there we can start molding it insofar as we can. Did anyone have a question? I think Vivian had one, if memory serves.
I joined a bit late, so I haven't had access to actually start. That was why I put my hand up, because I haven't
no worries.
The value part yet.
Yeah, are you on the platform itself?
No, I haven't. I got the email, but I haven't actually got access at the moment.
Did you reply to the email?
Yeah.
You did reply to the email. All right. Drop me an email then, because you've got my email.
Yes.
We'll link to the platform, and then we'll get you up and running.
All right, brilliant. Thank you.
If you're here, I'm happy that you're a member. Unless you somehow snuck in the back door, but I doubt it. If you have snuck in through the back door, just be honest, email me so we can keep you updated. Because a lot of the nudges will come via email, by the way. So if you are inviting co-founders and stuff like that, and you want them to be a part of it, make sure that they're on the email list for Cohort 2. Or for those who have started, what has your experience been? Is there anything you would change or that we could do differently to help you along the way? Russell.
Hey, Nick. Sorry, Nick, my connection's a bit slow, so sorry if I'm breaking up. Was outcome, I think the thing I'm struggling with, or have been struggling with, is kind of the outcome for my target audience. At what level, for the value proposition, should I be thinking kind of bigger picture outcomes? Kind of like, what ultimately are they trying to do as like the big thing? Or should the outcome be more specific and granular to the next step that my service could help them with? I think that's the thing which I've struggled with at the moment in terms of writing the outcome.
It's again a really, really good question. You guys who have started are absolutely on it, and I'm loving it. So in some respects it's both, and we've got to test both. So the purpose of the value proposition and that element of it is ultimately to go out. So in modules 4 and 5, when we go out and we do our customer discovery, and we do essentially our kind of bastardized version of the MUM test, going out and speaking with real customers, and you'll be speaking with 5, 10, maybe more every week over those 2 weeks, and probably beyond as well. So it's not an easy couple of weeks, but as part of that, we need to understand what it is that our audience, which we've identified in module 3, what it is that our audience actually wants, so that we can then go and figure out how to help them, right? But even if you've already got a product or service out there, you've already got an idea, it's more about understanding how our audience thinks about their desired outcome. So we take that problem and flip it on its head, and we say, actually, what is it they want? Forget about the problems and all the rest of it. We'll solve those problems, but what is it they ultimately want? And we do that for 2 reasons, but mostly, in part to kind of shape that solution, because we need to know what they want before we can figure out how to give it to them, right? That makes sense. But even if we've already got some idea of how to get there, and we're kind of doing this a little bit backwards, and if you are naughty, but we expect it, we accept it. Actually, the key reason that we do this is so that we can take the phraseology, the terminology, the words, the way in which they describe that desired outcome, and mirror it back to them. So that having been said, I'd almost be looking at both. That big picture, like later stage outcome, to change your life, but realistically, and the more that you start working with your customers, depending on who they are, I don't know the specificities, but normally what happens is there's like an A to Z journey, right? We'll take Underdog as an example. The idea might be to go out there and build an awesome business and get VC fundraising and IPO and change the world and impact billions of people around the world. That might be your long-term goal. If I said to you, right, come work with us and we'll get you from A to Z, you'd think we were nuts, right? And we couldn't really do that. I wouldn't feel comfortable telling you that. But I can get you from A to B, where B is a demand-validated startup in 10 weeks or less, probably revenue generating. That I can say we can because, just accept this person, because we've done it many, many times before. So that you can see how the value proposition kind of starts shaping. So we've got the audience, aspiring entrepreneurs, who may have already started on the journey or may not. We've got that desired outcome, which in our case is the A to B. Let's break it down, let's make it as granular as possible. And we could go even more granular, but let's make it as granular as possible so that it is achievable in your minds and the kind of time period is compressed. It's not going to take you 10, 15, 20 years to get there. We get you very quick results. And then our experience kind of underpins how we do it and all the rest of it. So the short answer to your question is yes, think big picture, but actually probably for the purpose of the value prop, get granular. Does that make sense?
Yes, great, thank you.
But play with it. Because again, you're going to be using the value proposition as the kind of building blocks, the sticks of the fire that will become your validation tests, your demand validation tests. So if you've got from your customer discovery conversation some big picture stuff, you can start split testing that versus the more granular stuff as well. And your management area. Yazid, go ahead.
Because I was thinking about the value proposition, and I've seen that some of us have B2Bs and B2Cs, and some of us have B2B, B2Cs. But your end user is the person himself, not necessarily the business. So it's part of saying, who does my value proposition actually speak to? Because we need to look at it from companies wise. It's like, I understand exactly what you're saying, but from your average Joe is like, what are you even saying? What is the company even do? So it comes down to which focus should I put in? Do I go for something that matches both, that should communicate my company to everyone, or do I focus on the primary customer goal?
Yeah. Again, another really, really good question. Do not try and be all things to all people, certainly not in your value prop. Let's really, really narrow down. And if anything, the more niche, the better.
Amazing.
We go through this later on in the program, once we get to kind of validation testing. And my general view is behind every business is a person. We're going to be gatekeepers, but really there's going to be probably a singular decision maker. Unless it's done by committee, in which case life is lost. Having sat on many committees in the past, I can tell you that's not the way to do it. But there's probably going to be one key decision maker. So I would be targeting the value prop at them, because it's them that you are going to be solving that problem for, even if the effects of that are wider reaching, which kind of goes back to what I was saying, right?
Right. Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. Hopefully. Yeah. But again, you can test it, and it might be, I don't know, in my view, the quickest path, and we always look for the path of least resistance, the quickest path is to identify the individuals who are the decision makers, get in front of them, make their lives easier, and prove that you can do so, and get them across the line. So that would be the approach that I would take. Nicola, go ahead.
Well, when we're kind of crafting our value proposition, and I mean, we can make it granular, but if we haven't built the product, like, we can promise anything, right? So in the scope of our idea, we can kind of overpromise. So my question is, let's say we validate an idea, and then after start working on it, we discover that it's not really doable in the scope we promised. So does that mean that our kind of data on the idea value can be should be thrown, and we have to do it all over again? Or
so the good news, in short, yeah, you probably have to do it again. The good news is in module 2, so next week's module, around finding your spike or your edge, and ultimately discovering your area of focus that you're going to be operating in for the purposes of Catapult. We talk about the triangle of startup success, and I won't spoil too much of what's to come, but one of those is technical feasibility. So you have to have confidence that you are going to be able to deliver whatever it is that you're selling, for sure. And we draw on your past experience and your skill set and your network and connections and all the rest of it to take a best guess as to what your limits might be. So we're not, as an example, going to promise flying cars, even if you are Elon Musk. Maybe Elon could do it, but for the rest of us mere mortals, probably not, right? So we operate within the restrictions of what we think we are capable of delivering, whether in a technical fashion or in a kind of Wizard of Oz or concierge way. It works slightly differently if you're doing something like super deep tech and you're trying to create a rocket ship or whatever it might be. Probably this way of working wouldn't really work. So we're looking at more kind of soft tech. But you'll see, we'll talk about the triangle of startup success, and as well as what we focus on here, which is desirability, i.e. demand validation. Do people want what you're selling them? Do they want it? Really, module 2 is all around constraining, because we don't want to go too wide again, constraining your area of focus or expertise for that feasibility piece. Not to say like you can't go out and learn, right? And develop. Is it technically feasible? Yes. Are you personally technically capable of doing it? Maybe not yet, but it's not to say it can't happen. So maybe that's a better way of looking. Does that answer your question, by the way?
Yeah. Well, the reason why I'm asking this because I kind of, while building this thing, some things I thought were possible probably are not, and then some things that I thought were not possible I can actually do. So kind of change in both directions. So if I pitched it to someone earlier, I would probably have to go back and talk to them again.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So just to put your mind at ease, right, you're probably going to be having 20, 30 conversations at most, I would say. Probably more likely 10 to 15 over the course of these 10 weeks. That is for most businesses anyway, for most mass market businesses, that is a drop in the ocean. It doesn't really matter. You could promise the world to these individuals. And even if you don't deliver, either they are going to be early adopters and expect that and understand, and they'll be forgiving, or it doesn't really matter because there are 10 million other people just like them within your target market. So don't over-egg it. Don't think, oh my gosh, I should only promise what I can definitely deliver. Actually go out there and play and have fun. You've got to enjoy yourself, right? This journey should be fun. You should be going out there and learning and exploring and genuinely kind of feeding off the inputs and the energy of the people that you're speaking with. So don't worry too much about that. And of course, your customer discovery doesn't end, right? We don't say, okay, weeks 4 and 5 are customer discovery 1 and 2, and after that you're good. That's it. Have us move on and just do demand validation. No, your customer discovery continues throughout the entirety of your startup journey. Because as soon as you stop listening to your customer, the reality is you probably are at risk of either flatlining or maybe taking a dive. You've got to be on your toes as a startup at least. Otherwise you enter kind of big company staleness, and that's when you become disrupted or ripe for disruption by a new up-and-comer. So yeah, just because you've spoken with one customer and you promised them X, Y, and Z, but actually A, B, and C is what you can do. It doesn't mean that they're dead in the water, right? They're still there. Remember, that initial pool of early testbed customers are going to be your, they're going to be your focus group, your inbuilt focus group that you can continuously bounce ideas off and learn from, because of course you are learning and developing as an individual and as a startup, but also they will become your first customers or they won't, and then we'll understand why. So yeah, don't stress it too much. It's only a small number of people. Don't promise flying cars there. Rich, over to you, mate.
Yes, on that question of technical, I know what I want to do is technically possible. It does involve some technology, which I haven't got the ability to do, but I do know that it's possible, and I can find people who can do it. And you see, my background is as a producer in circuses. I couldn't do trapeze, but I knew people who could. In fact, I couldn't do, any of the acts that I would book. My job as the producer was put it together and put the show on and sell tickets and make sure it was safe. So I'm just thinking in terms of technically feasible. If I believe it's possible and I can find the people, is that something which you think is a valid journey?
Absolutely, without doubt. In fact, that is probably what the majority of people on Catapult will be doing. A lot of people, so Nicholas is a slight exception, but most people are not technical. In our next program, Launchpad, we can make introductions to no-code builders and stuff like that who can relatively affordably get a minimum viable product up and running for you. But for the purposes of Launchpad, you've kind of hit the nail on the head there, right? There are two arms to any business, in my mind, one of which is selling, the other one of which is delivering what you promised. Selling and delivering. Here, we're focused on selling. Can you sell? Do people want what you have got to offer? Then we will figure out how to deliver it further down the line. And there are different ways of doing that. It doesn't need to be a technical solution necessarily, right? Businesses existed, guys, before the internet, before the iPhone, before apps, before computers. We don't need necessarily to have technology in order to provide a solution to that desired outcome for our audience. So we can think of different ways of kind of producing the desired result that our audience wants without having to rely on automation and technology in the background. That just makes our lives easier and probably gets them a better result, quicker, cheaper, more affordably, etc., etc. But there are other ways of delivering that result in the interim whilst we're building out the technological back end. Any thoughts off the back of that? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's great. That answers my question. Now I know the journey that we're on. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, and Steve's put something in the chat here which is quite important. He said it also goes both ways, right? You might be able to build the product, and this is the fallacy or like the kind of wrong way of doing things that we see a lot of people doing, which is why we created Catapult to prevent it. But a lot of the time we get people who've gone away and they are technically capable of building a product or service that solves a problem or helps an audience get to a desired outcome, but they are incapable of actually selling it. And that's why we've created Catapult, because we need to be able to identify an audience, to get in front of them, to get them to understand what it is that we have got to offer and how it can help them, and then to prove that they actually want it and ideally that they want to pay for it. So it's many, many steps or many boxes that we're ticking throughout this Catapult journey. And actually the ability to deliver is, we can kick that further down the line. But if you've got it already, happy days, right? It makes your life easier after the fact. But we just need to make sure that what it is that you are building is fit for purpose. I.e., does it fulfill the desired outcome that our audience wants? That's the main thing. And as Nicholas said, over time, your capabilities will change, but also what the market wants may change. And we've got to get the two to match as much as possible. We're looking for that kind of, inflection point. I don't really know what to call it, but where what the market wants and what we can deliver meets. That's the optimum. Question in here looks like from Sally from Hatton Market. My internet keeps dropping me out of the live Q&A. I'm on holiday currently. Well, lucky for some. No rest for the good, sadly. So me and Steve are not on holiday. My question is there an opportunity to do 2 modules 1 week if you know that in the following week it's going to be impossible to do the module scheduled for that week? Or do we just need to catch up? Yeah, unfortunately, you need to catch up. We're pretty strict on this, right? The modules get released on Monday of their given week. That's just the way that it is. If you're going to need to catch up, then let us know in advance, but we're not going to release these modules early. We want to keep everyone on the same path. On that note, and we have refined the kind of pace and the curriculum based on the feedback that we got from the last cohort. If you guys are finding it is too slow, let us know. If you're finding it's too fast or too intensive, let us know. If you are finding that you don't know what the heck's going on, let us know. If you're finding it's too basic, too easy, too simple, also let us know. Basically, any feedback that you have, we're open to it. Me and Steve, look, we're doing this because we want to help you guys, right? As you know, it's free, right? We're not making money. You're not going to offend us if you say, actually, guys, I think this is crap. Well, you might offend us, but we'll take it on the chin, and we're open to it. Because our purpose is to get the best possible flipping program out to you guys that gets you, as we talked about earlier, from A to B, not to Z, but from A to B as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And if there's anything that we can do, how we deliver it, how the modules are set up, or whatever it might be, if the assignments need to be structured differently, just let us know, because we want to improve for you guys. And I think for those who complete each module, there will be, if not for week one, very shortly, there will be a kind of post-module survey for you to fill in, just like how did you find it from 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 or whatever. And then a bit of qualitative feedback. What would you change, improve, do differently, etc. Again, feel free to use these calls to shout at us or whatnot. We're open to it. A load of people are trying to join Module 1 now. Better late than never. Any other thoughts or questions, guys? Yolanta, I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Yep, that's correct. I was going to ask, is Underdog, what are the incentives for Underdog to have this, nice program? I also saw that reviews are very nice as well, but from the previous cohort. So yeah, I was just curious, like, what's the incentive, or what's the host program look like, or do you guys introduce to networks, or basically those type of questions.
Is your question, why are we doing it as Underdog, or is it, what are the incentives for you to do it?
No, why are you doing it? Why is Underdog, running? Or like,
yeah, we get this a lot. I think we got it on the pre-program call too. Essentially, me and Steve are a little bit nuts. We are a bit crazy, and we're trying to do a bit of good in the world. So we truly believe that entrepreneurs have the ability to change the world for the better. So that's the kind of full good piece of it. We also believe, and genuinely believe, that entrepreneurship should be more accessible to more people, and that there are diamonds in the rough or hidden talented entrepreneurs that just miss out because they don't have the connections, the knowledge, the capital to get up and running. And that should change, I think, for the better. So that's the good stuff. The selfish side is that, that's our hypothesis, that there are plenty of diamonds in the rough that are currently overlooked or underserved by traditional investors. And it's our hypothesis that through things like Catapult and Launchpad and the other programs, we can identify them and hopefully build a strong enough relationship with them that we can invest in them early and make financial returns for ourselves and our investors. So that's the selfish piece. But yeah, mainly, I don't know if it will work out, basically. As you guys probably know, as individuals, as entrepreneurs at the early stage, is really, really risky. That's why I would never say, Guy, like some programs do, some very early stage programs do, they say you must quit your job, you must come and sit with us in our office, we work in London for 10, 12 weeks, and we'll monitor you. And to me, that's nuts, right? Why? Why don't you dip your toe in the water, see if it's for you, see if you can actually start making money in 10 weeks part-time, and then build up to being able to quit. And then maybe get some friends and family to put a bit of money in if you need money. Or if not, use the revenue that you are making to fund the growth of your company slowly but surely in the bootstrap fashion. But, that's kind of not what people are taught. People are taught to quit their jobs, go out there, sell a dream, raise loads of VC capital, and we know how that works out. for the majority. And the incentives for you are hopefully, well, it's like a low cost, low effort, not low effort, but like a low risk way of dipping your toe in the water when it comes to entrepreneurship. If you've never started a company before, but you think you might want to, this is a great way of figuring out if you've got, and I think we talked more about it in module 2, but maybe we did in module 1 as well. A great way of kind of figuring out if you've got the, I guess, personality, that kind of ability to operate in a chaotic nature without knowing what's coming, as well as the skill sets required. And I sort of think about being an electromagnet, you know, that ability to attract amazing talent to come and work with you on this journey. Awesome customers that you can service. And of course, maybe not for everyone, but if you want them, investors who will actually back you to kind of move ahead and help supercharge your growth. So you've got to be magnetic as well. But it's certainly not for everyone. Steve's put in the chat here, we've also done a ton of paid courses and it didn't a tenth of the value of Catapult. We want to be leaders in the space and hopefully help thousands of potential founders into the future. Yeah, that's right. And it's a really good point. We've all done loads. I'm sure you guys have as well, right? Paid lots of money for courses that don't really deliver. For us, this year's not zero input from us. Obviously, we need to be, well, we don't need to, but we choose to be around and answer questions and stuff like that. And obviously need to keep updating materials and stuff. But for the most part, it's pretty low effort. We've already recorded the materials. We're happy to be around other weeks to answer questions and all the rest of it. So hopefully that helps. Abby said, can you give more details around the premium version of the program? So we've got a private community called the Kennel for the underdogs. I think currently, so it's normally £99 a month. I think currently it's £50 a month. It's a private Slack community. It's not expensive. The idea is just so that we can cover our costs of hosting the Slack and all the rest of it and servicing you guys. But on that Slack, you essentially get all you can eat mentor access, so you can ask questions. Unfortunately, as we've scaled, we're just not able to answer all the questions that we get on the private community. On the public community. So the normal network where you watch the videos and submit your assignments, that we used to have messaging opened and stuff on there, but we were just getting overwhelmed, and it was just not fair on people who were asking questions and expecting a response, and we just didn't have the capacity to do it. So for this cohort, we've created the Kennel. You guys can check it out, but it's basically where we give you a little bit of love, essentially, a bit of extra information that isn't on the public stuff. We'll record extra videos for each module, and we're there to answer questions and to feedback on things like your value proposition, your landing page, your ads, and all the rest of it, in the way that we simply don't have the capacity to for everyone. So it's just a way of kind of gatekeeping that. And Steve made a good point here. We also get candid. So we talk about some of the stuff that we do outside of Underdog. This is not our full-time jobs, right? It definitely couldn't be because it's not paid. So me and Steve, we've got our own businesses that we talk about. And we're always spinning up new stuff as well. We've got our own incubation lab, venture studio, essentially. So we build alongside you guys. You guys are building over the course of Catapult. We build alongside. Doing our own stuff, and we're not here to BS you, right? If it goes well, we'll tell you, of course, but if it goes badly, we'll tell you too. So you get to learn from our mistakes in real time. It's not a case of, yes, I built a business 15 years ago. Times have changed, right? I did build a business 15 years ago. You will get lessons from that too, but it's real time input and advice as well. So there's that, and then there's also one-to-one mentoring if you want actual live calls with a mentor. I'll put that in the chat too. For most of you, it's probably a bit early, but for those of you who've got that desire and that need to kind of get up and running ASAP, that is the way that traditionally we used to run it. You had to pay, you got a mentor, and they walk you through, so they keep you accountable. It's not a case of, oh, well, maybe I'm away this week, maybe I won't do the module. No, you've got to do the flipping module. get your work done so that by the end of the program, you've actually met your goals. And as well as that accountability, we match you up with someone who has probably built a business in a comparable area. So if you're looking, as an example, to build something in the event space, like one of our founders is, we've matched her up with a director of one of the leading events companies in the world. Any other questions?
I just want to ask about what you mentioned first and foremost, which is, data validation. You want to, or customer validation. You don't want to build something that no one really wants. Within the program, will you suggest to us the mediums to do so? Then just go to the malls and hello, I'm doing a survey. Is there perhaps digital mediums, such as social media? How does that look within the program?
Yeah, so all of that gets covered off in modules 4 and 5. So in module 3, you identify your audience. So we get really, really granular as to who you're going to go out and target, because you need to know who you're looking for who you're looking for and where they live before you can go out and speak with them. And then in that week, you will set up ahead of module 4, you will set up at least 5 one-to-one interviews with people from within that ideal customer profile, so that very niche profile. So module 4 essentially is you having at least 5, probably more, but at least 5 one-to-one conversations around that problem area or that focus area. And then module 5, after you've done that, is, guess what? Having more flipping one-to-one conversations, but also doing that in a one-to-many fashion. So as you might say, we're not massive fans of surveys. I know plenty of people do them. I'm not a massive fan of them, but I am a massive fan of going out there and finding where this audience lives online and actually reading passively how they talk about their journeys and their experience. Yes. We can draw commonalities from that.
Sounds then look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. That is genuinely the toughest, but also the most fun.
Yeah. I mean, as an introvert, it's going to be difficult to say, come up to someone, hello, how are you doing? I just want a few questions.
Yeah.
But,
And I wouldn't necessarily even recommend doing that, right? Because they've got to fit your ideal customer profile anyway. So
yes, absolutely.
Second degree, third degree connections.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So don't worry, but it will get covered off. We don't just say to you, right, off you go and do 20 conversations. We will walk you through different ways that you can find. Those of you who have started, has the pace been okay? Do you think the volume of what I call homework is all right? We try and keep it relatively light touch and easy for the first week, ramping up. But interested in your thoughts and comments. Got in the chat. Yes, the whole learning process is interesting. I'm glad. And hopefully more than interesting, it will get you real results. That's what we want for you. 100%. You're allowed to go ahead.
I think I was added just a few days ago, so I don't believe I have all the access. Are we, I guess if that's okay to get, but then are we supposed to finish and submit something by the end of the week or something? Sorry to be asking.
Yeah. So there, somewhere on the platform is a link. Let me see if I can dig it out for you, to the pre-program call, which will answer many of your questions. Essentially by Sunday night UK time, you should have submitted. If you haven't, by the way, we're going to chase you for at least the first week, not forever. We will chase you. So it's not like you'll be forgotten. But in summary, every week, new module released Monday morning UK time, everything UK time, right? If you live elsewhere, figure it out. Monday morning UK time, module released. Every 2 weeks, so every other week, a call like this, and we can answer any questions you might have. And then by the Sunday of that week, submitted your assignments. Obviously, don't submit BS. We do check them. But if you submit them to a high enough standard, we then release on the following day, that morning, the next module. If you don't, we'll have a chat. We'll probably message you and say, come on, pull your socks up. What are you playing at? Are you still interested? Yes or no? Another important point as well, no pressure for you guys to stick around, right? If you don't want to carry on, that's fine. Let us know. We'll take you off the email list or whatnot. But if you do want to stick around, we'll have a conversation and we'll say, is there anything we can do to help you progress? Or do you just need to suck it up? Are you on holiday this week? You haven't been able to do it. We need to give you a bit of flexibility. We're harsh but fair, more fair than harsh, but I'm pretty harsh. We're not here to muck about. We've got 10 weeks. We need to get results. If you guys don't get results, it looks bad on us because it means that we're not doing a good job and we're doing it wrong. So either help us to get better so that we can help you. Yeah, if it's not working for you. And again, genuinely, me and Steve always say this, there's 1,000,001 ways to build a business. You don't have to do it our way. We don't force you to do it our way. If you want to do it a different way, sure, go off and do that. You just can't do it here. And that is like probably a dickhead way of putting it, but that's the reality, right? We don't pretend to have all the answers. There are, probably for some of you, better ways of building a business. And certainly for some of you, you will never be able to build a business. That's just the reality. So we're just trying our best to give you the path of least resistance and to help you, to support you, to guide you, so that you don't spend the next 12 months and you quit your job trying to build something that will never work. So we're trying to help you figure out early if it won't work. And to failure is fine, right? We expect and we thrive on failure because it helps us to close one door and open other doors to us. That's all that we're looking for. So we're looking to fail fast and early so that we can take a slightly different path. That's what we're ultimately looking for. We haven't got access to module 1 yet. Request access, and I'll start bringing you in. If you ask for access to module 2, I won't bring you in. You got to wait. All right. Any final questions? Feel free to drop them in the chat. Okay, looking forward to it too. Yeah, guys, if you do nothing else, take away better done than perfect. Again, even if it's absolute trash, whatever you submit is just absolute nonsense, I don't care. I'll tell you it's crap. I will, because we're here for kind of uncensored, brutal honesty, right? We're not here to blow smoke up your backside. We'll tell you it's rubbish, but at least you are in the system. You're in the game. You've started. If you never start, you can never win. You will never succeed if you do not start. The only way to succeed, to have a chance of winning, is by starting. So just suck it up. This first module, for those who've done it, tell me if I'm wrong, right? But it's dead easy. It's just about you. Literally just about you. You don't even need to know anything. You're a subject matter expert on yourself already. So if you can't do this one, man, that's fine. I think how many last time dropped off? Like 2/3, I think, dropped off before even submitting the first module last time, if memory serves. Who we expected, that's fine, but you've only got yourself to blame. Steve's, 80% plus, depending on how you cut it, right? Somewhere between, 60% and 80% plus dropped off before submitting the first module. So again, we expect it. It's no skin off our nose, but you've made it this far. Why not just at least do module 1, and then you can drop off later if you so choose. But I bet you won't. Once you're in the game, you're going to enjoy it. Love your cat, Rich. Well, you too. Steve's got 2 cats as well. We've actually got a little cat business on the side. That's one of our little side hustles. Oh, all right. Look, we'll leave it there. I've got to prepare for our program, which is kicking off tonight as well, which we'll be delivering live. There are lovely guinea pigs. So we'll be working with them. And for those of you who make it through the 10 weeks of Catapult and you get to that demand validated idea, you'll then be invited to the next version of Launchpad, which will take you. That's really our investor readiness program. So to get you ready to go out and pitch for investment. And that's a 6-month program. But for now, focus on demand validation. Go out there, get selling, and have revenue not just the back, but also the front of your minds. How are you going to prove that people want and are willing to pay for what you've got to offer in the next 10 weeks? That's what we're looking for. All right. In that case, it's been a pleasure. Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work. Those who have started. Those who haven't, give it a go. Better done than perfect. And we will see you in a couple of weeks on the next call, or in the kennel, if you remember, or other riders in the private community. All right. Cheers, guys.